All right, so we are able to fix things and start the class. So last time, what we were talking about is the upper limit and the lower limit of a sequence, right? So we talk about making subsets that follow a certain order, right? And then obtaining supremum and infimum of those subsets, and then taking the limit of the supremums and the infimums to get the upper limit and the lower limit, right? So this is what we did, right? So lim sup of xn is actually limit of the supremum mk, where mk is actually the supremum of the set, ak. Actually the set ak is this, right? So the set ak is the set of all xn such that n greater or equal to k, and then you take the supremum of that set, and that supremum forms a sequence that is bounded and monotone, so that will converge, and you take that limit and name that as lim sup, right? Or in other words, this actually is this limit of the this thing supremum of all xn, right? So limit of the supremum of xn for all n bigger than a certain number k, and you let k goes to infinity. That is called lim sup, right? And similarly, we define lower limit lim inf as limit of the infimums of the set ak right? So lim inf is basically the limit of the infimum of xn for all n bigger than a certain k, and then you take the limit of that as k goes to infinity. That will give you the lim inf, right? So this is what we defined in the last class, right? At the end of the last class, we defined lim sup and lim inf. So let me show you by an example how to find this, right? So here is the example. You define xn by 1 upon n, right? So you define a sequence of elements 1 upon n. Right. Once you do that, then what you have to do to find the lim sup and lim inf, right? You have to find this set AK, right? So you define the set AK. AK is actually the set of all xn such that n bigger or equal to k, right? So this is set of all xn bigger or equal to k. So that, in other words, you can say xk plus 1 and terms following that, right? xk plus 1 and so on, right? Because you know what is the form of xn, so you can write xk, that is 1 upon k plus 1, the next one is 1 upon k plus 2 dot dot dot, like that, right? So this is your set AK, right? If you want to find a lim sup or lim inf, in both cases, first you have to define the set AK like this, right? Xn such that n bigger or equal to k. Same for the lim sup as well, right? So for both cases, you have to find the limit. So now once you find the limit, once you find the set, then you can find the supremum. So we name it as capital MK according to our theory, right? That is supremum of AK. So this is the set, and the supremum you can easily find, right? Because we find supremum like for the terms like this in the first chapter, right? So this set contains element from AK 1 upon k plus 1, right? So the biggest number, the biggest possible number is a 1 upon k. You all know that, right? So you can easily see that this is the supremum, or you can prove that 1 upon k is the supremum of the all the elements, right? Because you know 1 upon k is the upper bound for this set, and that is the least upper bound, right? So any other upper bound smaller than that will cannot be a upper bound at all, right? So because this is the first element or largest element, that could be the supremum as well, right? So that's the supremum. So once you know the supremum, right, then you can find lim sup of xn is actually limit of k goes to infinity, right, mk. Okay, so limit of k goes to infinity mk, and that's obviously, you know, limit of k goes to infinity 1 upon k, and you all know that we already proved at the beginning of the second chapter that this limit is 0. So lim sup of this sequence is actually 0. Right? Similarly, you can find the lim inf as well. Now, infimum of this set AK is actually, you have to find the infimum of this, right? 1 upon k plus 1, 1 upon k plus 2, like that, right? So you can see that the numbers are decreasing, right? 1 upon k is bigger, 1 upon k plus 1 is smaller than that, 1 upon k plus 2 is even smaller than that. So numbers are decreasing in this set. They are decreasing, and they are going all the way close to 0, right? Not exactly 0, but close to 0. Right? So by one of the earliest exercises, you can easily see that this one is 0. Right? The infimum of this set will be 0 because any element bigger than 0 will automatically comes inside the set, right? So if you took any element bigger than 0, right, you can find at least one element between between 0 and that number, right? So that's how this thing is, the set is defined. So you can see that that is 0, and that according to our notation we use that small mk to denote the infimum of the set, right? So then easily lim inf of the sequence is actually lim of small mk, and that obviously is 0 because small mk is already 0. So when you take the limit also, it will be 0. Okay. Right. So here in this example, fortunately, right, right? So here in this example, you can see that limit supremum and limit infimum are same, right? They are 0. Right? And also you already know that the limit of this sequence xn is also 0, right? So we proved that at the beginning of this section or this chapter 2, right? We see that limit of 1 upon n is 0, and we know how to prove it. So here in this example, you can see that lim sup and lim inf and limit of the sequence are same. But it is not necessary that lim sup and lim inf and limit must be equal, right? So it is not necessary. You can see some examples where you see limit supremum and limit infimum are different, right? You can see certain examples, right, where the limit supremum and limit infimum are two different things, right? So let me show you an example for that. Right, for that, let us show you an example, right? So right, for example, we can see that minus 1 to the power n has different lim sup and different lim n, right? So unlike this example, you can see that minus 1 to the power n has different values for lim sup and lim in, right? So let me take that example, minus 1 to the power n, right? So then you define the set ak, that is minus 1 to the power k, minus 1 to the power k plus 1, and so on, right? So actually these elements are going to be -1 + 1 -1 + 1, right? So I'm not going to say what order, right? But you can see that if k is even, then it will be +1 -1 +1 -1, right? So let me write it here, right? So this is actually 1 -1 1 -1. It will go like this, or it will go like this, -1 1 -1 1, and it will go like this, right? Either one of those cases, right? So if you take k as even value, then you start with +1 -1 +1 -1, and if you take k as an odd number, then you go -1 + 1 -1 + 1. That is the pattern, right? So in any case, the elements in the set are going to be -1 and +1 only, right? So then it is easy for you to find the supremum. Here the supremum is +1, right? Of this set is +1, so that is 1. So you can see the limit is 1. Okay, so at the same time, infimum of the set is again +1 -1 +1 -1, so the infimum will be -1. So in this case, the lim inf is -1. So you can see that lim sup is +1, lim inf is -1. So they are both different from each other, right? So there are examples where the lim sup and lim inf are equal, and then there are examples where the lim sup and lim inf are different as well, right? So you can have both type of cases, right? So let me give you one homework, and then we talk about in what cases the lim sup and lim inf are equal, and in what cases they are different. So let's see. Homework. Okay, as a homework for this example, you try to find lim sup and lim inf of the okay. So this is a homework, right? So now you notice that two things. One is there is a limit, or we talk about limit of a sequence, and then from that limit we even further develop to new concepts called lim sup and lim inf, and then we see by an example that for one example we have seen that lim sup and lim inf are equal, and they are actually equal to the limit of the sequence. And in another example we see that there is a sequence whose limit does not exist, right? -1 to the power n, we already know the limit does not exist, but that has a limit supremum and limit infimum, both are different, right? Both are not equal. So you can kind of understand that if the sequence has upper limit, supreme lim sup and lim inf, right? Upper limit and lower limit, and if they are both equal, then it looks like the sequence has a limit, right? And the limit is the same as the upper limit and lower limit. And then when the upper limit and lower limit are not equal, then it looks like the sequence does not has a limit or does not converge, right? So that is something we can understand from the example. So we will try to see a theory behind that. But before that, we will talk a little bit more about the relationship between supremum and infimum, or lim sup and lim inf, right? Let me put that as a note here. by the definition of mk and small mk, capital mk and small mk, you see that capital mk is the supremum of a set and small mk is the infimum of the set, of the same set, right? If you define a set ak, then you see that capital mk is the supremum of the set and small mk is the infimum of the set. So obviously you can see that, or you can understand that mk, capital mk is bigger than small mk, because obviously same set, so supremum will be obviously bigger than infimum, right? So if you take the limit, then the limit will also be follow the same order, right? So if you take the limit, then the limits will also follow the same order. So this means what? So obviously you can understand that lim sup will be bigger or equal to lim inf, right? So there are equal cases as well, right? They are not equal cases as well. So if they are equal, they will be equal, right? If not, lim sup will be bigger than lim inf, right? So this is something you can easily see, right? Okay, so now let me write down a characteristic of lim sup, right? But before that, let me do this part and then come back. Okay, I'm going to write down and prove two theorems, right? Both are, the first theorem will actually lead up to the second theorem. So right, so let xn be a bounded sequence, right? Xn be a bounded sequence of reals, you all know that, right? Okay. Let xn be a bounded sequence of reals, right? Then okay, so this is a characterization of lim sup, right? So this theorem actually characterize lim sup, right? We see that to a value, a real value is the lim sup of the sequence if and only if you go epsilon above the lim sup, then all the terms in the sequence are below L plus epsilon, right? All the terms in the sequence is less than L plus epsilon, right? But infinitely many terms are above L minus epsilon as well, right? So that is the definition of lim sup, right? So if this is also true for all n, then that capital will become the limit of the sequence, right? So that is why, right? So if you look at the definition of the limit, right? So just for your information, if L is limit of xn, then you know L minus epsilon is also less than xn for all n, and xn is less than L plus n for all n, right? This is the definition of limit, right? At the beginning we studied for every epsilon positive there exists n belongs to natural numbers, and that absolute value of xn minus L is less than epsilon. So if you break the absolute value, you get L minus epsilon less than xn less than L plus epsilon, right? So epsilon. This is epsilon. Right, so this is what we studied. This is the definition for limit. But when it comes to lim sup, right, only one half of that is true. Right, the upper part is true. Lower part is not true for all n. Right, that is true for many n, but not necessarily for all n. Right, so this part, for all n part, is the problem. This red box does not hold, right? So this box does not hold, right? So this, when this becomes a question mark, right? When this box for all n part becomes a question mark for L minus epsilon, then only the concept of supremum, lim sup coming in, right? So similarly, you can develop a result for lim in Fastwell, right? So that's similar kind of result, but this is a characterization of the lim sup. So let me try to prove as much as I can, and if not, if we don't have time, then we will continue in the next class. Okay, so there are two ways to prove. So let us suppose xn is the lim sup of xn is equal to capital L, right? You all know that Mk is the set, the supremum of the set we define, right, as AK. That set is set of all xn such that n bigger or equal to k, right? So that is the set we define. Okay, so once you define the set, you know that supremum Mk, the limit of that is L, right? So you all know the definition. So let's write down the definition for that. So for every epsilon positive, there exists n belongs to natural number such that Mk minus L is less than epsilon for all k bigger than n, right? Because you are taking the limit for Mk, right? Not for small n, but m small k. So limit of, so this is the meaning of this, right? So limit of k goes to infinity Mk, right? Where Mk is the set like this. So you write down the definition for that limit. So that's Mk minus L for all k bigger than n, right? So you know that. So this gives you what? L minus epsilon is less than Mk less than L plus epsilon for all k bigger than n, right? So you know that this is right. So this gives me what? L minus epsilon is less than M capital N plus 1 less than L plus epsilon, because this is true for all k bigger than n. So it is true for n plus 1. So L minus epsilon is less than this, less than. Okay. But M subscript n plus 1 is actually the supremum of the set Xn with n bigger or equal to capital N plus 1. So supremum is obviously bigger or equal to all the terms in the set. So that's why Mn plus 1 is bigger or equal to X small n for all n bigger than n. Right. So this means this gives Xn is less than epsilon L plus epsilon for all n bigger than n, right? Because Mn plus 1 is less than L plus epsilon, but Mn plus 1 is bigger than or equal to Xn. So obviously strictly bigger than Xn for all n bigger than n. So Xn less than L plus epsilon for all n bigger than n. Right? So that's what you have here. Right. So now one of those parts are correct, right? Xn less than L plus epsilon for all n bigger than n. That part is done, right? So we prove this part. Now we have to go prove this part infinitely many cases, right? At the same time, other side of the inequality you have here is this L minus epsilon is less than Mk, right? So this gives L minus epsilon is less than M n plus 1, right? So if you say it is true for all k bigger than capital N, then it is true for k is equal to n plus 1 as well, right? So then right, because L minus epsilon is smaller than Mn plus 1, right? So it is clear that that is not an upper bound, because Mn plus 1 is the supremum. So anything smaller than that cannot be an upper bound, right? That is a definition of supremum, right? Supremum is the least upper bound. So anything below that cannot be upper bound. So if that is not an upper bound, then you know there exists n naught, that is obviously bigger or equal to n plus 1, such that xn naught is bigger than L minus epsilon. Also, so there exists, by definition of not being an upper bound, you know that means you can find at least one element bigger than that term, right? And also you obviously know supremum of that set is obviously bigger or equal to this. So then there exists another element n1, right? That is bigger or equal to n naught, such that xn1 is bigger than L minus epsilon, right? So because L minus epsilon is not an upper bound for this set, you know there will be one element xn naught bigger than L minus epsilon, right? And then obviously if you take a set of all xn bigger than n naught, n bigger than n naught, then that is another set, and supremum of that will obviously be bigger than L minus epsilon. So within that smaller set, you will find one more element such that that is bigger than L minus epsilon, right? So by continuing this, so if you continue like this, you will find infinitely many xn's which are bigger than L minus epsilon, right? So you start with xn naught, you go with xn1, and then supremum of xn such that n bigger than equal to n1 is also greater than L minus epsilon. So there will be an xn2, right? So you can keep on continuing like this, and you will find infinitely many xn naught, xn1, xn2, xn3, and so on, such that all of them bigger than xn minus epsilon. Right? So that's the other part of the inequality, right? So first part is this: xn is less than L plus epsilon for all n. At the same time, there are infinitely many xn such that xn is bigger than L minus epsilon. Right? So one part of the theorem we proved, right? If capital L is the supremum lim sup, then every element is less than lim sup plus epsilon, and there are infinitely many elements which are bigger than lim sup minus epsilon, right? So now if we assume these two results are true, then we have to show that capital L is the lim sup of the equation, and then of the sequence, and then we will try to prove the relationship between convergence and lim sup and limit, right? So those we will continue tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Right, so I will stop here and then continue tomorrow.